Well, hey there, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger, and I'm excited about recording an album of original music in 2021 because of this PC2R. This is a Kurzweil synthesizer, rack mount unit. These sell for $500 on eBay. Well, they're $450 for, I think. It's a $500 rack mount keyboard. Came out in 2003, and I found mine at Goodwill. It was $2.99. Did not have the power supply. This is the power supply, which it's a goofy one. It's got a four connectors in this cord. So it's like 9-volt DC, 1.75 amp on one side, 14 volts AC with a quarter amp on the other side. So I was asking the people at Goodwill, could you go in the back and look for this power supply? It's going to be a big one, cords on both sides, and then it has a four thing. I even had a little piece of paper with a picture drawn what it would look like, and I was going back every day. For a week after I bought it, every day I would go back, because this Goodwill is like about 2 miles away from my house, not even. It's a mile and a half. And boy, they were sick of me. All the employees were like, yeah, have you seen that guy with the glasses, the fat guy that smells? Asking about the thing with four in there. And like one girl got kind of nasty with me, and I think I got nasty back at her. I mean, she's just... And the people that did, they would go in the back and come right back out and go, nope, like all smiling at me. Anyway, I drilled it out and put my own jacks in and had a 9-volt 2-amp power supply and a 15-volt, like half-amp AC power supply. And so 2 wall warts going into 2 jacks that I cut in, running those 4 wires to this factory standard jack. And then you would have this 2 wall warts, and I put a extension cord where they both plugged into that and then wrapped tape around it. So you have one cord to plug in that went to this block of 2 power supplies that went to 2 jacks, and it worked. And a week after that, so this was 2 weeks after I bought the synthesizer for $2.99, I returned to that Goodwill, and here it is. The Kurzweil power supply. It was in the back. All of those fucking horrible, lazy, lying people that were smiling at me were wrong, and they had it. But that's my life. So, yeah, sometimes I get a little weird. I get a little attitude about people. And there's one thing that I don't like is people that don't try. So I had got this idea in my head that I was going to be using a new synthesizer this year. And that's not happening. I've got a GR50 guitar synth, so I can go grab that and then MIDI it. I'll have to replace the battery, but ultimately I'll be recording more mellow music and using this synthesizer for accompaniment. This is an element in my music that's been missing since 2006. The last time I used a synth was an album called Can't Compete, and I used an old DOS computer, 286, with a CGA color monitor. That's a Roland D110 synth card that pops in a 286 computer. It's a DOS computer. It has a little hard drive and a mouse with something called Norton Commander. So you turn it on, it goes through a auto exec batch file in DOS, and then it loads up this Norton Commander and a mouse driver. And then Norton has a GUI, so it's almost like Windows where you have a cursor that moves around, and you can click on Cakewalk 3.01 for DOS, and then it will come up. There's MIDI cables that come out of the back of this sound card, this big honking thing, and you're able to edit and come up with keyboard parts that make it sound like you have a really talented keyboard player, even though I suck. And that's all because of that software is so awesome. Now, I've tried other MIDI editors and sequencers, and everything I've tried sucks, except this old cakewalk. So I'm going to have to strike a balance between either not using that software or getting the old computer out, or using a version that's ported for Windows XP on Windows 10, see if I can get that to work. I think probably what it's going to come down to is more like not using any quantizing features or editing, and just play the synth parts. Just play them into the DAW and be done with it. And then I wouldn't even necessarily need to use Reaper. I could use my DAW, which is really what I do. I use Reaper to do the drums. Once the drums are finished, then I can go and use the I print the drums to a WAV file and then export that and insert it into Adobe Audition, and then I record my tracks there. Now Reaper does have MIDI and an editor. Every time I've tried to quantize stuff, it's come off goofy. But that was like working with stuff where I didn't have it tempo synced and mapped right. So starting off fresh, if I pay attention and have the actual BPMs right, matched to the metronome, I should be able to do everything I used to do in the old software. So it's going to be a learning experience for me. I do know that going overboard with a real lot of MIDI orchestration and MIDI parts, it makes it more difficult to mix and turns into sonic mush, and then your guitars don't blend well with the MIDI is the other thing. Ideally, I would be using acoustic guitars, getting out an acoustic. You know, I've got these acoustic guitars that have the onboard piezo, and then I like to mic them too. Ideally, I take an old Seymour Duncan Woody pickup and pop it in there, and then I have the Woody, I have the piezo from the bridge, and then I have the mic, and I blend all three. The thing is, special thanks to Pig Jimmy Photon for donating the Roland VG8 and Roland VG88. Those have acoustics on there, which you're tracking with an electric guitar, a Strat, and then you can just hit a patch that's an acoustic, and all of a sudden it really sounds like an acoustic. And like, why would I want to go get an acoustic if you could just hit a patch and play it on a Strat? You know what I mean? So it's going to be a balance of all things coming together. I don't think I'm going to go crazy with the MIDI sequencing. But yeah, there's going to be synth. And it's going to be continuing on the path that my music has taken, where I had shut the distortion box off. Where if you listen to the older albums, they were more aggressive. And then, like last year, it was a little bit mellower. A little bit, you know. I'm using more cleaner tones. So I think this might be a further step in that evolution of some more really pretty sounding stuff. But every time I do this and I make plans, what ends up happening is completely different than what I said I thought I was going to do. Like, oh, this year I'm going to use my 3-string cigar box guitar and play the drums with pots and pans. And then it's like completely the opposite. You know, I'm making a video here, and you're doing Wild Rumpus. Kita, you gotta be a big boy. Daddy's making his movies. Anyway, you guys, the cat's acting up, and you're probably already super bored. How long has this been? It's coming up on 10 minutes. Yeah, so I'm super excited. This synth, it sounds really good. Like, I forgot I had it. I had set it up with a MIDI cable and run a audio line out to the board. And I had told my daughter, this is like right at the end of the family band. She's getting ready to basically leave to go. She's getting married. So she was not into playing with us. She was freaking out about planning her marriage. She was going to do this outdoor wedding, which it all went fine. I think it was more of the fact that she was getting married. But anyway, I explained it to her. I'm like, now you can turn this thing on, and then you'll change patches like this, and you can hear your existing keyboard and this keyboard, or you can turn that one down and just hear. Like, I'm explaining, she was just like not having it. Just giving me this look like you're lucky I'm even here today. So I never pushed her on it, and as a result, this synthesizer had sat there. And then I looked it up today. It's a $500 synth, and when I put the headphones on, it blew me away. I could not believe how unbelievably superior it is to everything else that I have here. All of the old Roland synths, they blow compared to this thing. They literally suck. But this thing came out in 2002, 2003. You know, that old Roland synth that I had was like 1985 or something. 1983. So 20 years later in synthesizer technology, you should notice a difference, right? And boy, did I. Some of these patches are incredible. The thing about adding the synth is it adds a lot of time. And I have to be able to be physically comfortable to do that. So this is going to require quite a bit of figuring out how do I do this. You know, I really need a full-size keyboard to be able to play on and kind of recline, and then I really need a MIDI guitar, a guitar synth. And I've got the GR50, so maybe what I can do is use a portable interface on this computer, install get the big keyboard and have that sit on my lap and just track MIDI while I'm here relaxing. And then if I want to track some guitar synth, I can do that as well. So again, all this is just talk, because when it gets down to it, a lot of times I'm just like, get to it and get it done. And that's because of my back pain. You know, I can't be spending 4 days on a song. And I know that sounds incredible, like, you know, Van Halen recorded their first album in 1 day. Well, it's not Van Halen. I'm one guy. And I'm using the studio. I don't write the stuff and come in with it rehearsed. The songs get written as I'm recording them. You know what I mean? So it's a little different for me. And I'll be honest with you, I'm completely mind blown and amazed at the end of the day when I hear what I get. You know, because I suck. I'm a terrible musician. As far as like sitting down, put a quarter in me and like play a bunch of jukebox, like, oh, I'm playing Led Zeppelin and now I'm playing this. Like, I can't do any of that. I'm terrible. I am a horrible musician. Horrible. So utilizing the studio, it takes some time to get it right, but you could do some cool stuff with it. All right, YouTube, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you guys will give this music a shot when it comes out, and maybe leave a comment. I really appreciate that. I really do. Okay, you guys, enjoy and be safe, and peace.